Welcome to the Midnight Matinee with your host and hostess, Robert and Angi Curtis.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Midnight Matinee.
We're back.
Here we are again for another installment of the Conjuring movies.
What are we on? I can't even remember now. I think we were like 19, 20.
Maybe? I don't remember.
Somewhere up there somewhere.
We grouped all the Conjuring movies together, so that's kind of why we're in this.
And not release order, chronological order
Right.
as they happen within the Conjuring universe.
In the Conjuring universe, right. So that's why we're on to the Nun 2.
Which is set in 1956 France when a priest is murdered and it seems an evil is spreading. Sister Irene, from the first one, once again comes face to face with a demonic force, which we all know is Valak.
Valak is back for more.
The childlike demon that rides a two-headed dragon. Yeehaw!
Yeah, so this one is a continuation of the first one. It's what, 4 years after?
4 years after. Sister Irene is now in like a boarding/orphanage kind of school.
Kind of like a...
with kids.
I forget what they call that. It's like when you send your kids off to school.
Boarding school.
Boarding school, yeah. It's like a boarding school/orphanage type scenario in France. And they use real French locations for the filming of this, so it has that period piece kind of...
and you can't get any more beautiful
kind
than
of
France
vibe,
for
right.
historical.
Yeah. So this one, it's a continuation of the story from the original one, which I think benefits this movie greatly because they don't have to explain all of the lore to you like they did in the first one.
Yeah,
so,
you kind of know the backstory already.
Yeah, so you already know the players in this one. And it does have, like, one of my favorite things where we subvert expectations because there are no spoilers. We're not going to do spoilers in this one, but there's a twist in a character in this one, and it pays off because
You're like, holy crud, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, it was really good. And this one has more, whereas most of the Conjuring movies that are in that we've seen so far are all suspense, kind of shadow, like, did I see that move? Did that happen? Like, what was that? Well, whereas this one has gore in it.
Yeah, and it didn't even really originally start that way. It sounds like that the test screenings kind of drove to add more of that impact to it.
So, which is really cool. I kind of appreciate that because when you see these Conjuring movies, you're kind of used to that, where it's more of it's an insidious it's an insidious kind of horror because it's not in your face like the Terrifier movies. It's more of a hidden, shadowy kind of spookiness.
Now, I honestly like movies that rely more on suspense, building, get you when you least expect it. I mean, the jump scare, you're...
Yeah.
And I am a jumper.
Right.
I am tightly wound. A lot of people have said that if I don't know you're coming, you touch me, I'm going to probably scream.
Yeah, and this movie, when it came out, it had a lot of publicity because it was banned in, Lebanon?
Oh, was it?
It was banned in France, and then YouTube took the trailer down.
Because of the subject matter?
Yeah. So YouTube took the trailer down because it violates their terror and whatever it has jump scares in the trailer. So they made them take the trailer down, and then they reconfigured the trailer and put it right back up again. But it was one of the first movies that YouTube
did
struck.
That.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember back in the day they had that? You see a car driving down, and then some kind of demon pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So it has that kind of background to it, where any publicity is good publicity, so it worked out. Actually, they did end up putting it in theaters in France after it came out because they were like, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was.
I'm surprised if it wasn't something like the Vatican or Italy or like that. They'd be like, nope, not going to show this.
Yeah, right. Now it did good in Italy.
Actually, it did really well for its budget.
Yeah.
It was like $360-something million for an $83-something billion or whatever. Or million. Yeah,
well,
really
the first one had a budget of like 30-something million. I thought, yeah, and this one was what, 80 something. So you make 300 million. That's pretty good.
Well, and the Nun one kind of left the story kind of open, so you kind of... Well, didn't you say there's a third one coming?
Yeah, they're making a new one now. So.
But yeah, it kind of left the story. You're like, was this the end? And so it was nice that they brought the story back around.
Yeah, because the first one, and the way the first one ended, you're kind of... I mean, if it was a one and done, I'd be okay with it. But there was a lot more meat on the bone there that they could have fleshed out. And I really like that. What's her name, Taissa?
The one.
What's her name's sister? The
Farmiga.
Yeah,
Taissa Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga's sister.
Yeah,
she is a fantastic actress, and she really does overtime in these. Because if you look at her, IMDb page, she only has these movies in it.
Really?
So, and she's the headliner in both of these movies. So that's some good. That's a good.
I love the fact
resume
that
right there.
She looks like the character. Obviously she looks like Vera, who plays Lorraine Warren in the Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
And then you're like, the whole time, the first time I saw it, I didn't realize that she was like related. I'm like, why am I getting this sense of deja vu?
So much like the Vera Farmiga. That she looks so much like her, and then it plays in this movie because they're trying to say that she's an ancestor of Elaine Warren.
Oh, are you thinking they're going to try to do
Yeah, that's what I think they're going to do. So it's kind of funny that this Vera Farmiga's younger sister, but then she's going to play her, ancestor in the movie. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and there was a lot of younger talent in this thing, too. I mean, the one that played Sophie, she was incredible. Yeah. I mean, for any kid to have to deal, to do a movie that's really kind of geared for adults.
Yeah, physical, too.
Yeah, physical and just... I wonder if they did any of that thing like we were talking about, like the director doesn't tell them when it's coming, and
right.
So yeah, and as we mentioned, Valak is back, and they do a couple of those Easter eggs where you see it written somewhere.
Yeah. Where they do, they did the same thing.
You got to keep your eyeballs open. Sometimes you need a second or third watching to start picking that up.
So you notice it.
I don't think I noticed it until
the license plate or the blocks on the wall or any of that stuff. Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Yeah. Well, and now they have a new thing, the Saint Lucy, which she's I guess she's kind of like a martyr who was, I guess they tried to set her on fire or something, and she didn't burn, and so they ended up gouging her eyes out, and she's the patron saint of the blind, I believe someone said. I don't know if that's truth or fiction, though.
But that plays into this movie because that's what Valak is after, is the eyes of Saint Lucy.
Which is, the holy relic that he's looking for in order to do what he needs to do. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said, I thought cinematography was great in it. It was beautifully set.
Yeah.
I thought the plot was well paced.
Which I one of the things I mentioned in the last one was that people mentioned that it was very dark, and the way it was filmed was very dark and dark tones. And then this movie, in my opinion, was darker than The Nun, but no one complained about it this time. I wonder why that was.
There seems to be a trend to a lot of these horror movies now being filmed darker.
Yeah.
We talked about Nostradamus. It was a lot dark.
Nosferatu.
Yes, I told tales.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are like a lot of them that are just like, it's like you're in the dark the whole time.
Right. Well, and that's a way to cheat,
Oh, you were talking about the,
And AI, or not AI.
Or to hide CGI.
To hide CGI, yeah. If it's in the dark and stuff. So that's why you see a lot of that used in low-budget movies. But these are not low-budget movies. They had good money to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else did they talk about? The imagery, the sets. It has a lot of. It takes place in like they say, like an orphanage, but it looks period correct for the post-war period.
Oh yeah.
It has a lot of that kind of rundown, France had been shelled a lot. At this point.
A lot of rubble.
It has that kind of look to it.
Disheveled, I guess is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
It's set in 1956.
So What was that, like 11 years after the war?
That would be like 9.
9?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Was 1940?
I mean, no, you're right.
45.
Yeah, so it'd be
so.
about 11. 11 years after the war. So there's stuff still messed up in France at this point.
We don't really think about it, we're living here in America, like what those countries, like Great Britain, France, Poland, what they truly went through during World War II,
Right.
We're a little sheltered over here.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to go ahead and give it a rating?
Yeah, we'll give it our ratings.
Here we go. Ready? Boom! We were kind of torn. I think we gave the original Nun blood curdling.
Blood curdling, right.
But I think we're going to go up a notch and give it Nightmare Fuel.
The Nightmare Fuel.
Which takes you to the edge of terror, leaving a chill in your spine, dark and twisted in all the right ways.
Yeah.
Kind of like me.
Like I said, it paid off in this one because we're already familiar with all the characters. We don't need to be reintroduced to them, so you can move the story forward faster in this. And in my opinion, the pacing was a lot better in this one. And like I said, there's a twist in the kind of the beginning of the middle of the movie that kind of subverts expectations. So it's kind of really. It ties back to the first movie multiple times, and I really appreciate that with this story.
It gave me that aha!
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're like, aha! So, yeah.
Yeah. I recommend it.
So, what have you been up to? Watched anything new that you want to recommend? I know we're still in the show hole of watching the Outer Banks on Netflix, which I can sum up the Outer Banks in one sentence: poor life choices. These kids make poor life choices.
It's like
it's almost to the point where we don't like them.
Yeah. There's a lot of needless yelling and shaky camera stuff in it, and it's like I was talking with a friend of mine about anime and how much I like to watch anime, but some of the anime are like 8-10 seasons, and if you distilled the actual storyline down, it would be like 1 2-hour movie. And that's how I feel about the Outer Banks. Like if you could sit down and you could tell the story up to the point that we're at in probably maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
I mean, I like the part that they're trying to find a hidden treasure.
Yeah.
We got the gold of El Dorado and a couple of other objects. That the Santa Jose Cross, or was it Santa Rosa? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
And it's not a horror movie in any way, shape, or form. We
are
also like, we would like to be pirates. But yeah, it's like they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again.
And a lot of times when something's going on that's like obvious, they double down on it, and then it's just like you're like, just shut up and run.
It's a lot of teen angst.
Yeah, and I don't know. It is what it is. It's a candy show.
Yeah, well, and I've been working on a little something on my own because I know how you feel about the Final Destination movie. So what I have done is I am actually I've been watching one each day, and I'm giving my own little thoughts, and I even did videos. I did them in the wide format, so you don't have to do them this way.
Nice.
And I'm planning to. I originally was going to go on Saturday to go see the new one, and I think it's going to have to be Sunday because of I have to make a trip to Illinois.
But, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do? But yeah, that's my culmination, and then I realized that I have actually sat through I've sat for 4 of these before.
Yeah.
And my sister and I went to see the original, and I really liked the original.
Yeah.
I liked the concept, and I even said this, is that there is really no monster, there is no serial killer, there is no bad guy in these.
Yeah.
It's just basically death.
They cheated death, and now death's trying to realign.
Yeah. And it's something that comes for all of us in the end.
Claim them.
Yeah.
Because they cheated death by not getting killed in the plane crash. Mm-hmm. So then death sets up environmental factors to claim them so that it's not obvious that that's what's going on, so that he can write the book.
Yeah.
You know, kind of level the clean the slate, basically.
All I'm going to say is, though, I just finished watching the third one today. There are 5 that were pre-released before this one. And the first and second one, pretty good. We get to the third one and into the fourth one, and the deaths become just almost hilarious. Like, they are just over the top is the best way to describe them.
Right.
So
they just had to outdo themselves.
yeah.
You know.
And I knew that he doesn't like them, so I was like, I will take it on myself.
I am
going
not a
to
fan.
subject myself to some of the most horrible things. What they really do is they play on your fears.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, I don't like roller coasters for that reason. I don't like tanning beds. I don't like flying. I fly, but I don't like flying. I mean, it really is like these carnal fears you have.
Yeah.
You know, and the one, number 4 starts with, they're at a kind of a NASCAR event. And,
right.
And the cars are blowing up and flying, and I'm sitting here thinking, NASCAR has plenty of safety features.
Yeah.
This is never going to happen. You know, I mean, a damn car flipped down, went into the fence, and the driver got out at a real race in Talladega.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm showing my little redneck is showing.
I just don't. Those are they're throwaway movies in my opinion, because I don't care, and they're like, oh, what do you think about it? Like, I just don't.
It just seems like there's a rut, and I want to be sure.
I've already seen it. I don't need to see it.
I am a completionist, and I was like, well, I think I've seen all of them but 5. I think I didn't watch the last one that came out before this, Bloodlines. So I was like, you know what? I'll finish this set. I'll sit through this for you guys.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, I'm going to tell you. He definitely will tell you.
Yeah. While Angie was in Florida visiting family, I sat down and watched 60s and 70s horror movies. And I was kind of cleansing my palate of this modern garbage and watching movies with actual actors in them instead of...
Yeah, but some of the special effects back then were...
Yeah, but they try, though. You know, and some of those movies, like I watched...
They may have been cutting edge then.
The Blood on the Devil's Claw and movies like that, you know, like we talked about Shockwaves, you know, like... What they lose in special effects, they make up for in character, in acting, and
script,
sets, and you know what I mean. Like there's
story.
Something. Those movies, like the Summer of Fear, we talked about with the girl from The Exorcist.
Oh my God.
What is her name?
Okay.
There you go. Stars Linda Blair. There you go.
The summer season of what was it?
The Summer of Fear.
Summer of Fear.
Yeah, and it's not like.
Did you say that was a miniseries?
It was originally one of those 2-day things. It was made for TV, and then it did really good on TV. So then they put footage that was cut out into it and made it into a feature-length movie, and it's really good. I liked it. It's one of those movies you can just kind of sit down and watch, and you're like, yeah, that was really good. I'm glad that I watched that. Like you don't feel like you wasted your time.
Yeah. I have got to say, now talking about, I was thinking, you said fear, and I was thinking about this fact that obviously I was in Florida, and it was right after you released on the other channel where they talk about real possible paranormal events, stuff like that. And you had talked about the pole thing.
Oh,
the poles shifting.
The pole shift.
And my dad asked me like several times about that, and I'm like, well, he's been talking about this for like over a year, you know, and he's done the research and whatnot, and you know, it's I guess it really does, like, you're like, God, what if this happens? You know, what if Florida disappears? Or
well, it won't. Florida won't have much of if the model that I had brought up, Florida won't have much of a difference. It's
but
just
California will
the sun will rise in the south and set in the north, but people in California will not have a good time because that will be Antarctica.
Yeah. Well, and then ironically enough, I stopped by to pick up a package for my sister tonight, and she was talking about she had listened to your she had watched your guys' 10,000 viewers on the other channel. You got 10,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Not necessarily us, but we're part of it. And she said the same thing. She goes, I've been thinking about that inner core thing and how
Right.
it's moving. And then she goes, about those poles. I mean, could that really happen? And I'm like, you have scared my family.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things.
But Dad's a scientist.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the things I talk about all the time is that the powers that be, not so much the government, but like the whole media complex likes to downplay things like that, where I'd like to have that information out there so people can have that in your back of your mind, like this could happen, it possibly won't, but it could happen. It's a possibility. The tumblers are starting to align that way,
when's the first horror movie about the pole shifting? Though I was thinking about, there was that movie where the temperature dropped. Was it Day After Tomorrow?
That's what happened in that movie.
Okay, so that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what happened in that movie.
Okay, so that is a movie. Okay.
Right.
For those of you who saw that.
The magnetosphere weakened in that movie. It wasn't the polar flip, but it was the weakening of the magnetosphere, and we didn't have any protection from the solar radiation. So we had these
Vast
storms that would go right into the upper ionosphere, and you would just get instantaneous cold.
Yeah.
Like tornadoes of, negative 400 degrees or whatever.
Poles flipping, nightmare fuel. I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, if you want to watch that video, I laid it all out, all the evidence that we have that is coming, and
Yeah.
we talked about how there's blackouts that are happening right now, and there's solar storms that are destroying buoys.
Well,
in the
you even had
ocean
something
and-
happen last night where you said something
Yeah.
was weird was going on with the lights and stuff like
Right.
that.
I was driving home, and I noticed that there's like these 2 little orange lights on the side of the road that like tell you there's a stop sign up ahead or whatever, and they were like having a seizure. Like they were this. Like I was like, what is that? And I noticed as soon as this car coming the other way approached those lights, their headlights dimmed down in that little section of the road. And I was like, that's weird. And then when I approached it, all my dashboard lights kind of flickered weird, and like the little temperature things, like the thermostat, like
Really?
your temperature, those little lights came on, and I didn't have my air conditioning on.
Yeah, that's a new car
little-
too, so that's scary.
Yeah, the little lights came on for like where it tells you the temperature you have the car set at, but it was off. Those
So you're
little
thinking
lights
that
came on for a second, and then I was like, that was weird.
So do you think you came through some kind of EMF,
Yeah, like
electromagnetic,
right.
something some kind of force right there that could be happening?
Weird.
Weird things happen a lot
Yeah.
in our lives.
And I think that people, we kind of don't pay attention to those things, so that's kind of like something that it was just something I noticed, and then because we cover these things, that's in our wheelhouse, so.
There are things that have happened to me that I never even thought of. Like, I fully admit, we were coming back from Southern Illinois, where we have all of our extended family, and I saw 3 triangle lights out over on Illinois as we're driving back in the middle of it was late at night, it was dark, and I'm just like, what is that? And my first brain went to, because there's Scott Air Force Base, I'm like, oh, it's probably some kind of prototype test plane or something like that. But then to come to find out, these things are seen all over the place.
Yeah. And that Air Force Base is like the military's version of UPS.
Yeah, that's what he told me. So I'm like, so I guess
there's
wasn't
no fighter planes or anything there. It's just a like
base
shipping type thing.
Yeah. So, okay, I think we went into a rabbit hole where you and Todd usually hide.
Gonna reel it back.
Reel it back. So, The Nun 2.
The Nun 2 was a good movie.
Nightmare
really good.
Fuel.
Yep, I liked it.
And we recommend it.
Yeah. And this director only did, 3 of these, right?
Yeah, I think he did 3 different ones. I think he did La Llorona.
No, you got it
Oh,
right.
I got it.
And this one, and then what was the other
The
one?
Devil Made Me Do It, the Conjuring
Yeah, the court one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the new Conjuring movie. And I don't think I've seen anything yet for the Nun 3.
I saw the trailer for the new Conjuring movie. It looks really good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
I think this is one they wrap it all up, though, don't they?
They're working their way, because you figure they were in the 80s, right? With the one was in the 70s, the one where they went to England, and then they came back, and that was in the 80s. So now they're working their way toward the modern era, and of course, Ed
He passed away, in the 90s?
In the 90s, right.
And then Lorraine died, about 5, 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah, not too
something
long
like that.
ago.
And obviously they're actually in the news right now because ironically enough, we reviewed the origin story of Annabelle.
Yeah.
And they've got Annabelle on tour.
Right.
And they say she went missing. But they're thinking that it was...
We covered that last week on the other channel. If you want to go on a deep dive of
the real Annabelle.
The real Annabelle, I talk about all of the backstory for the doll, the actual doll, not the porcelain one from these movies, but the one,
the Raggedy Andy one.
Yeah, the Raggedy Ann doll. And there's some weird stuff that happened along that story because
he went to do his research and he found out she had gone missing somewhere after San Antonio on her way to Chicago. Yeah. How ironic that was what his topic was.
Yeah.
And then she goes missing.
And she went missing. So that whole thing is worthy of its own movie. With the Ryan Buell, I called him Burrell for some reason in that thing, but his name is Buell, and his whole fraudulent backstory I believe in a good redemption arc. He could have got his stuff together. He could be a good guy, but I know from the past he has been a bad actor in the paranormal community. So he's involved in this. The thing went missing, and then what
good publicity though it would be for people to hear she went missing.
Right.
I mean, any bad publicity is still good publicity.
Well, and the guy, I forget, I'm so bad with names. The guy who's in charge of the Nesper, who actually has access to the Warrens Museum.
Is that Tony, or is that their son-in-law?
He is the son. He's a friend of the son-in-law.
Oh, okay.
So he has the keys to the museum. So whenever they announced that it was missing, he got his camera and went over there and filmed going into the Warrens Museum and said, "No, there's Annabelle right there, sitting in her case where she always is." And all of the collective,
they're like, "Oh no!"
All the people who organize the thing, like,
tour.
"Dummy, we said she was on tour. You're supposed to not go and show the doll in the museum."
I laughed when I saw the very first TikTok when they were bringing it into that West Virginia. I think it was either a mental institution or a penitentiary, but they're carrying her in and she's in the case, and it's like they're carrying her very carefully. I got a question for you about the whole Annabelle series. Now, obviously, most of the Conjurings are loosely based on Ed and Lorraine's.
Yeah, their files.
Right. So we know Annabelle has a backstory of where she came from. We know the Conjuring movies all have it. The Nun, are they based on something as well? Loosely based?
Right. Because Ed had sort of like visions, and he would paint as part of his therapy, and he painted the evil nun picture, and then they used that as like a background because they needed some sort of demonic foil for an overarching villain in their story, so they just created the Valak.
I was going to say, because they wouldn't have even been that old, I guess. Well, I guess they lived in the 70s, but they would have been in their, teens or something when this
when this happened?
When the nun stories in the 50s happened.
Yeah.
They were probably, younger, a lot younger, maybe even not even grown up yet. I was just wondering because they don't appear in at any point, but Valak does came to.
Well, it's in France too, so they're Americans in Connecticut, so yeah.
There was another rabbit hole. Okay, let's reel it back out. Okay, well, I guess that's it, and we will see you next time.
See you next time on the Midnight Matinee.
Here's Todd.
You've been watching the Midnight Matinee, brought to you by the Veritas Project. So when the clock strikes 12, grab your tickets for the next episode of the Midnight Matinee.